Hello there everyone, and welcome to the next tutorial on duct tape stuff. Due to enormous popular requests, this tutorial will be on how to make a duct tape hat. I think I got at least 6 requests in total, so that's more than enough to get a new tutorial in here. And so that's what we'll be doing today, how to make a duct tape hat. Before we go into the making of the duct tape hat, I just want to let you know that when you're making duct tape clothing, it's usually a little more difficult than making like wallets or checkbook holders or stuff like that. Mostly because with clothing, fabric curves and duct tape doesn't usually curve. Like with wallets, it's mostly all just straight lines. But when you're making anything out of duct tape that involves clothing, like hats, pants, shirts, anything like that, you're going to have to make it curved, and that's going to be a little more difficult. So just to prepare you in advance, because this won't be as easy as making like a wallet or a checkbook holder or anything like that. So let's get started here. Your very first step is to get a hat that you like, and preferably a ball cap. That's what we're going to be making today. And so pick one out that you like and you want to duplicate, and that will be your first step. Okay, now when you're making a duct tape hat, you're going to be cutting out 6 sections of duct tape and piecing them together, 6 rough triangles, and then molding them all together into a dome shape. As you can see, this hat has 6 parts to it, 3 on this side, 3 on this side, and we're going to be making each one of these pieces into a duct tape triangle and then piecing them all together. So your second step is to get like a piece of paper, just about a half sheet, a little less than a half sheet. You're going to put it down on top of the hat. Now this is going to take a little time because most hats don't want to flatten very well. You're going to flatten as best you can, and you see these lines here on the side here. This is where this section was cut together and sewn together, and with this one here, you're going to take your piece of paper and lay it down as best you can. It's going to get a little crinkled because the fabric's kind of fighting you, but you're going to take a pen and you're going to trace those lines in that rough triangle. And this is going to be a little bit difficult. It might take you a little bit of time, but you only have to do it once, and you want to trace as best you can those lines that are already in the hat, and you should come out with a triangle that should look just like this. Okay, so that's your second step. Okay, so after you've got your wedge cut out, you're just going to set it down on a surface and you're going to measure it. So take a ruler and you're going to measure both the width and the height. And for the wedge I'm using for my hat, I've got about 4 inches. And for the width, and this one for the height is about 6 inches. So I'm going to go a ½ inch more on that. So I'm going to go 4½ inches for the bottom and 6½ inches for the top. So you're gonna go a ½ inch more for whatever the wedges you're using, and then write those coordinates down. And basically what you're going to do is going to cut out 4 strips of tape or more, but we'll find out about that soon, that are the same length as the height. So in this case it was 6 inches, so I'm going 6½. So I'm cutting out 6½ inch strips. You're going to take those and you're going to stick them together just like this. Stick down here. So stick them together just like that. Pull up the other 2. Now you're going to take those 2 together that you just stuck together, take the ruler again, and since the width of the sheet of the part of the triangle here that I cut down was about 4½ inches, that we're going to use that for the width of this sheet here. So you're going to put one here, and that's not quite 4½ yet, so I'm going to go here with this last one. I can just get it up, and we're going to put this down right here. And as you can see, that is not 4½ inches, it's just a little bit more. So I'm going to have to use 2 more strips, put one on this side and then flip it over and put another one down to get that 4½ inches. Now if you're going to, it really depends on what size hat you're using for this. It might be more, it might be less, but you're just going to have to judge that as it comes. Basically what you're doing is making a sheet so that you can trace down this wedge here and get a triangle of duct tape. That's what you're going to do. So cut out that first sheet and try to do the measurements as best you can for the hat you're making. Okay, so once you've made your fabric, it could take you 4 or 6 depending on how big your wedge is, but you want to make sure that the wedge does fit on top, and that's going to be fine right on there. So you're going to make, before you trace it out or anything, you're going to make 5 more of these so that you have 6 total. So do that now. So after you've got your 6 sheets, trace the wedge onto each one of them with a pen, and then cut it out, just like that. And you will have 6 wedges, and that's going to be the basis for your hat. So do all that right now. So you have 6 wedges. Okay, so after you cut out your 6 duct tape wedges, we're going to start piecing them together. So lay 2 of them out in front of you, and you're going to cut out a small strip of duct tape that's about a ½ inch wide, and you're going to make it about as long as one of the wedges that you're using. So what you're going to do is take the wedge here, and you can start at either the top or the bottom, really doesn't make a difference, but you're going to very carefully apply it onto the wedge here. And since the wedge curves and the duct tape strip here doesn't, you're going to have to kind of wrap it around with the wedge, and you want to kind of make it curved. You'll know if you're doing it right because you're going to start getting little air bubbles and little creases, and that'll let you know that you're curving it pretty well. You want pretty much half of the sticky side showing here, and then half of it stuck on the wedge itself. First one's going to be pretty easy. So you're going to end up with that right there. So now what you're going to do is take your second wedge, and it helps if you take it like this, and apply it so that about half of it is on this wedge here, and then half of it, well, a little bit of it is showing, and you want that to curve a little bit, so make sure that's stuck down. Once again, these first 2 wedges are going to be fairly easy. It's going to get harder as you go around. Okay, so those are your first 2 wedges, and eventually you're going to cut out another small strip, and you're going to piece all your wedges together in that exact same fashion in the way you just did these 2, and you're kind of come out with a dome shape object. This is kind of what it looks like when it's done. It's kind of like an upside down umbrella or a satellite dish or something like that. But if you want to, see if you look inside, there are a bunch of places where the sticky side is showing. To reinforce your hat a little bit and to make sure your hair doesn't get stuck inside, you can take more strips and apply them, the same ones you did on the outside here. You can apply them on the inside to cover up those sticky strips, and that'll give your hat a little more sturdiness as well. So that's it here for this part of the hat. A good way to test it out to see if it fits is just stick it on your head, and if any of these seams pop out, then you know you need to make your hat just a little bit bigger. But if you measured appropriately, it should fit fairly well, and it should fit snug on your head. So you can always make it just a little bit bigger by just separating each panel just a little bit. So that's that part of the hat, and now we're going to make the brim. That's going to be next. Alright, basically how you do the brim is pretty much up to you. I mean, basically if you want it to be the exact same size of the hat that you modeled off of, all you need to do is just flatten your hat on like a piece of paper and then trace it out. And then you can tape it on to the hat that you made out of tape. I chose to make mine a lot smaller and make it kind of unique looking. I even left the hole in the top, but you can cover that up with tape on both sides if you want to. And to put the brim on, you pretty much have to tape it on the top as well as on the bottom, and then you pretty much have your hat. And don't forget to put some tape inside so you don't get your hair caught on those sides, and that'll reinforce your hat as well. So there's your hat. You can, oh, I forgot, you can also put some cardboard, sandwich that in the brim if you want to. I'm kind of a duct tape purist. I kind of like everything to be made out of duct tape, and I don't really like using other materials if I don't have to, so this is 100% all duct tape. So if you want to do it that way, you can do it that way, but if you want cardboard, you can do that as well. So that concludes this tutorial on how to make a duct tape hat. I hope you guys like it, and I'll see you next time. So take care. Have fun making this hat.